Thank you and good morning, good afternoon to each of you. Again, my name is Sabrina or Bree. I am from Columbia, well, Swansea, South Carolina, or Sandy Run. It's a little dot on the map now. We weren't on the map before, but we are today. But I am a licensed professional counselor and also a licensed supervisor. I'm currently working on a doctorate in counselor education and supervision. And I also am a person who thrives with MS. And so, but I also have some family members and close friends who are diagnosed as well. Today, I want to take it from a different perspective. We all see information online about how to care for individuals with multiple sclerosis. It's rare that we really focus on the caregiver. And so today, I'm going to focus on the caregiver and how do you really care for yourself? And the information I'm going to provide, I want it to be something tangible that you can take away and apply throughout life and in different relationships and to help maintain your village. And so just in the African-American community, we lived by the mantra, it takes a village to raise a child. But not only does it take a village to raise a child, it just takes a village to just thrive as human beings nowadays. And so we're going to focus on, I'm going to share my screen. And again, if there are any questions, we will answer as many questions as we possibly can during this session. But remember, there's also a Q&A for all of the panelists for today following this session. So when we talk about it takes a village, it really and truly is about who surrounds you and having the right people in your circle and in your area. In this, we're going to cover 3 different areas today, really looking at healthy communication, caregiver stress and caregiver burnout, and then really building that support system and what that can look like and the makeup of a support system. So are we even speaking the same language? A lot of times we're saying the same thing, but just differently. Good morning, bonjour, buenos dias. All of these things are a greeting, but sometimes if we don't understand what the other person is saying, it can lead to miscommunication. One of the biggest things is a language barrier when it comes to relationships. Are we really speaking the same language? In relationships, there are just different ways that we communicate different things. And so when we're thinking about a relationship, there's what's called the 5 love languages. And Dr. Gary Chapman, he's the author of this book. And there's also an online test that you can take for this. But we can really meet the emotional needs of those that we love in different ways. And so a lot of times it's not about the verbal communication for everyone. It's more about what we do, how we interact, and what love really looks like, or how that person receives love, and how do you give love. And so we'll look at the 5 love languages today. So there's words of affirmation, there are acts of service, quality time, receiving gifts, and physical touch. It's really about learning to speak the language of that person, or even how to interpret and how to translate what it is I'm trying to say to you through my actions or through my words, so that they're in a way that people can understand. So when you're thinking about what's your love language, how do you identify? Words of affirmation, verbal appreciation speaks powerfully to those individuals whose primary love language is words of affirmation. It's really about encouragement, and it's easy to translate into love. And so when someone's love language is words of affirmation, so things like just showing appreciation, listening actively to that person, sending an unexpected note or text message or card, really genuinely encouraging them and often. This is how this person receives love in a relationship. And the love languages, a lot of times we refer to it and people will talk about it in the context of romantic relationships, but it's important in our familial relationships as well as just with our friends. And so as a caregiver, sometimes what may end up happening is there's miscommunication. You're doing acts of service for the individual, but they are looking for words of encouragement that I need you to tell me it's going to be okay. I need for you to say that you have my back, that you're here with me. And so sometimes that can lead, when we're speaking different languages, it can lead to friction sometimes. And we'll get to kind of what that friction can lead to as far as like caregiver burnout and caregiver stress, because we're speaking different languages. One of the things, some things to avoid for individuals who have, whose primary language is words of affirmation, you want to avoid non-constructive criticism, or not recognizing or appreciating an individual's effort. Acts of service are sometimes just simple chores around the house. So this is any act that eases the burden of responsibility. Simple things like laundry or taking out the trash sometimes. And very often both partners will speak the language of acts of service in a lot of instances, but using phrases like, I'll help. You know, they really want to know that you're with them and that you're partners. And so sometimes doing chores together can help. Making breakfast in bed is a small thing that can be done. But one of the things some things to avoid with those individuals are making requests, the request of other people, a higher priority than the person that you are in the relationship with, or your family, or the person that you're supporting, or lacking follow through with the task, either whether they're big or small. Quality time is really about making that person feel loved when they are, it's that physical time together. So doing activities, it's undivided attention. So sometimes putting down the cell phones, turning off the devices, even if it's just for 10 minutes, just to give quality time to that individual, and one-on-one conversations and creating special moments together. So if you're able to take a walk outside, sit on the porch. I know that, you know, depending on the person's ability, it may be a little difficult to do some activities together, like going away for a weekend, especially with the current environment and some travel limitations. But what small things can you do to focus and really spend that quality time? And so even thinking about your love language, what do you need to feel like you're loved and appreciated in that? What is your language? And how can you talk to the other person about what your language is so that they can learn how to speak your language and learn how to show you love in that way as well? The things to avoid in that area is really the distractions when spending time together. So, or going long stints of time without one-on-one time. Receiving gifts is our next one. And it's people, they respond well to tangible symbols that reflect thoughtfulness and efforts. And so small little treats or tokens of love. And they're thoughtful and they speak purposefully to say, you know, I'm giving you your favorite thing to show you that I care and I love about you. Try to avoid forgetting special occasions, or just I'm giving you something, but there's no enthusiasm or intentionality behind it. And the last one is, of course, physical touch. And so physical touch, and a non-sexual physical touch, can reinforce presence. Long hugs, holding hands, a simple touch on the arm, a hand on the knee. You really want to learn your partner's dialect by finding out, and your family member's dialect by finding out their favorite acts of touch as well. Is it to hold my hand or give me just an encouraging touch on the back when I'm trying to do something? So what happens when there's some tension? How do we kind of get back to a healthy place? So after conflict, when you're thinking about what those love languages are, some ways to kind of rebuild that relationship is for individuals with words of affirmation. It's just speaking words that build security and that help them to know that you're there. And it's sincere apology. For acts of service, it's behavioral changes. So if this is the issue, this is the behavior that has caused so much strife in our friendship and our relationship, what is it that I can do or adjust, or that we can do and adjust so that we get back on the right page? The quality time, again, is just that active listening and eye contact when you're talking with that person and allowing them to kind of express without interrupting. And then, of course, receiving gifts is a small token of love. It can be a handwritten note. That note, for someone whose love language is receiving gifts, that note may mean more than a verbal apology, because it's the tangible piece for that. And then physical touch, just holding each other without words. Sometimes we don't have to say anything, but just a physical touch and that intimacy can help to alleviate a conflict and can help to kind of get the relationship back on track and just reinforce that I'm here for you, I love you, and I'm here. So caregiver burnout and signs of caregiver stress. There are different signs of caregiver stress. Being a caregiver can be a challenging task or a challenging role. And especially now with the current environment where we're working at home, we're doing virtual doctor visits and all of these other things, and the challenges are increasing. And so how do I recognize when I am getting to a point of burnout? And so physically, you may be exhausted, trouble sleeping, drastic weight changes, and you want to be aware of who you are as a person as well as a caregiver, because when we're at our best, we do our best. When we are feeling great, and when we are taking care of ourselves as well, we're able to take care of those that we love, and be able to do so with a different type of perspective and a different spirit in mind. But pay attention to your body when you're feeling worn out, unexplained health problems. Emotionally, sometimes feelings of resentment may start to arise, use of substances to deal with the emotions and the feelings, or when we no longer find pleasure in the things that we used to do because we are so busy kind of taking care of those around us that we are starting to neglect ourselves. Relationally, or within relationships, when you start feeling used or unappreciated, or family members are really concerned about your well-being, and they're like, are you okay? What's happening? I'm concerned about you. And they start giving you those hit words like, I think you need to take a break. I think you need some help. But a lot of times we take on everything. We want to be Superman. We want to be Superwoman. We want to be strong and try to do it all because we feel like we have to do it all. Financially, we can feel overwhelmed or depleted, or start getting negative feedback at work. So these are some signs that maybe I am experiencing caregiver stress, or I'm starting to become burned out. So what do I do? How do I avoid some of these things? So you want to get the facts first and foremost. Control what you can control. As much information as you can get about a diagnosis, as much information as you can get about community supports, insurance support. So some insurance plans offer respite or relief for caregivers as well. They have care managers that are able to help to find different resources. So you want to get all of the facts that you're able to get so that you can move forward from a place of knowledge and information. Create as much structure as you can. Again, control what you can control. There are a lot of things that are just outside of what we're able to do. So creating a budget, creating some time where you're able to sit for 10 minutes and just breathe. Meal planning, meal prep, all of those little small tasks that we spend a lot of time doing, but if we put a little more structure, it saves us a lot of stress in the long run. Creating a grocery list, which was something I've never really done before, but I'm trying to create more structure so that when I go to the grocery store, I know what I need. Or when I go online to go to the grocery store at this point, I know what I need and I don't spend a lot of time just mindlessly shopping, because mindlessly shopping then impacts our budget. Then we get financially stressed about things as well. And so how much structure can we really create in our life? You want to spend time away. So taking a few minutes to breathe, if you could take a night away, but how do you take care of you and caring for your body? Physical exercise as much as you can, stretching, all of those sorts of things. What do you do for you? And don't forget to laugh, have fun, watch a funny movie, tell jokes, whatever's happening, but you want to make sure you're laughing and enjoying life as well. Grant yourself some grace. We are all struggling in different ways. We all have our struggles and we want to do everything we possibly can. But grant yourself some grace in this time and know that it's okay if you can't do it all alone and that you need help, and build a community. And we'll talk more about building a community in a few moments. But when it comes to self-care, how do you take care of you? And so if your love language is words of affirmation, giving yourself a pep talk, journaling, daily affirmations, quotes, daily devotions. How do you take care of you? How are you speaking love and showing love to yourself? If your love language is acts of service, you want to, you can do things or arrange things for yourself that make you feel good. So delegating tasks to other people, that's doing something for you, going out for a minute, scheduling and kind of creating some things, and even going to therapy. Quality time for you, which is you can do meditation, a date night for yourself. You can sit to watch your favorite movie, but that quality time for just you. And then even for receiving gifts, acts of service, receiving gifts for you, indulgences. So I love dark chocolate. I might buy a bag of Hershey Kisses, the dark chocolate, just as a little small token for me, because I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. And I'm good with that. I'm learning to grant myself some grace and reward myself sometimes, and to show myself love. We can't always neglect who we are and what we have going on as well. And then physical touch, if that's your language, soft blankets, the little soft fuzzy socks sometimes, massages, physical activity. How are you taking care of you when it comes to your love language? The biggest thing is, in order to really take care of ourselves, we really have to have a village. And who is in your village as a caretaker? You are a part of our villages. For those of us who live with MS and those of us who have some struggles. So you're part of our village. Who's in yours? So when you're thinking about building a support system for you, think about these aspects. So emotional support, where you have someone who's able to listen to your feelings and a safe place to express your frustrations and whatever those thoughts or feelings that may be. Or, and you can do that in therapy, but you want to think about a person that you can use for this. Some people choose pastors or church members or family members, but you want this safe place that you can trust. What about the tangible pieces? So financial support, transportation. Some of these things may come from the insurance or the health plan or community organizations. Sites like Aunt Bertha have a lot of resources that you may be able to access. And so in your support system, think about the tangible pieces. Of course, informational. So looking to solve problems and resources. So you want helpful information. And then last is social needs. Thinking about those who provide that love and security and belonging. So when you're thinking about it all, it really does take a village. And who's in yours? You are a part of somebody else's village. Who's in your village? Who wraps around you in this time? And so as you're thinking about it, develop a list, talk to individuals and see, who can you get and pull into your circle as well.